Hello and welcome to episode 23 of the SolarQuotes Vodcast after a 2-week break.
Longer than that.
Was it?
I think so.
Only felt like 2 weeks.
Oh, that's because you're having a good time.
This is a very ghetto recording setup because Jono, the cameraman, is still on holiday. We have taped an iPad to a tripod, and so if the vision's a bit wobbly and the sound's a bit rubbish, it's because we haven't got a clue what we're doing.
But it seems to be working so far.
Yes.
This is evidence of it.
For sure. How are you, Ronald?
Furious.
Oh, why?
Because of the shitstorm in Victoria.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, that one.
Yesterday, because we record this on a Friday morning, I went to Melbourne to stand in solidarity with my brothers in the Victorian solar industry and protest against the absolute shitstorm that is the implementation of the Victorian solar rebate. Please don't get the wrong idea if you're not in the solar industry. This is not a bunch of whinging installers saying, give us more money. This is a bunch of installers saying, keep your money. Yeah. Or if you're going to give us the money, give us it in a manner that doesn't destroy the industry.
Yes.
I thought of a song for it.
Oh, okay.
A chant.
Right, go.
What don't we want? The Victorian rebate. When don't we want it? Now.
Okay, that works.
Yeah,
simple.
Thanks.
Good point.
What do you think about this shitstorm?
It's so fucking stupid. I mean, Christ almighty. Yeah, it was designed to increase the amount of rooftop solar installations in Victoria. The Victorian government put money aside to train new installers because of the demand for solar they expected. But the scheme has been set up so horribly, it's driving huge numbers of people in the industry out of business, and it needs to stop immediately. Doesn't matter if they get rid of it altogether, that's far, far better than what they're doing now, which is basically killing the industry.
I mean, the overriding theme of the protest and all the speeches, and it was very well organised by the Smart Energy Council. Thank you very much. I was also overwhelmed with support from all the members of the Clean Energy Council that had trooped there from their office around the corner.
How many were there in total?
0! If there was anyone from the Clean Energy Council there, I apologise, but I didn't see them. I mean, one little anecdote that sums it up, I won't name any names, but I spoke to someone earlier this week from the Clean Energy Council. Genuine message saying, hey, will I see you at the protest on Thursday? The response was, nah, I work from home on Thursdays. And I think that sums up the Clean Energy Council's attitude. I think they think they're too, I don't know, white collar, too, I don't know, they're above protesting.
Yeah, do they have any interest in the welfare of the Victorian solar installers?
I have no idea. Well, I do have an idea, but you can guess what that is. I think for the CEC, perception is everything. Perception of them not being seen at protests, perception of them being, well, whatever they want to be perceived as. But anyway, back.
But I think they've been successful in there. Definitely perceiving them a certain way.
Let's not get distracted by the CEC's shortcomings or impotence. I mean, it was a theme of absolute human tragedy. So installers getting up, taking the mic, telling us how their business is, how they've had to lay people off, how they don't know if their businesses are going to survive. And again, these guys, before August, before the first tranche of the rebate was announced, were going great. They didn't need the rebate. It was introduced as an election-winning policy. And then
now it's an election-losing one, maybe.
Yeah, you'd hope so. So it was a really nice, stable industry, and this rebate has completely screwed it over.
Yeah, it won't be an election loser if they fix it.
No, I mean,
if they fix it now and they help out the people who've been screwed over, then it'll be, no one will remember it come the election.
Yeah, I don't hold anything against the Victorian government or Solar Victoria for making a mistake, and they've made a monumental mistake, but I do hold it against them when they refuse to acknowledge that they've made a mistake. Yeah. And even worse than that, they are almost going around saying everything is awesome. They're saying this is a phenomenal success. They're just spinning it. I was speaking to someone yesterday. They said, I think their media people are too senior because they're just putting the positive spin on something that is an abject disaster.
It is Trumponomics.
I think they're
announced success, no matter how much of a failure.
It's straight out of the Trump playbook. Yeah. I think they're I wonder if they're bouncing around the office singing "Everything is awesome." Everything is awesome.
Only if they have lots of drugs.
I've never seen the head of Solar Victoria, but I think he might look a bit like Lord Business.
Ah, yes, from the
What they
Lego
call Lord
movie.
Anti-Business.
Yes.
So come on, Solar Victoria, admit you've made a mistake, change the scheme, and it's too late for a lot of people and a lot of companies, but just stop digging your heels in. Anything else you want to say about that?
Grrr!
Yeah. On from the Victorian state government to the South Australian state government.
Yes, we have some figures for the South Australian Home Battery Scheme. Michael put together some figures. So the South Australian government had 40,000 home batteries they wanted to get installed.
And they said, getting quick,
Subsidy. Getting quick, oh yeah.
or you'll miss out.
Yep.
That was the sales pitch. Mm-hmm. Like really quick, like in the first 4 weeks.
Yes.
How many batteries have been installed since, when was it, October, September?
Dan Van Pelican says 1,500 out of 40,000. That's 3.75% of the total. How many do you think they expected to have at this time?
It's a bit of a flop.
Yeah, a bit of a flop.
So now they're pushing it out to rental properties. You rent, Ronald?
I don't have a house. My ex-wife does.
Right.
I also have a flat, which I rent, yes.
So you could get a nice sun and battery on your rented flat if now they're expanding the scheme into rental properties.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
Why don't you do that?
Because it would suck. There's no way a battery will pay with my tiny electricity consumption in that tiny flat.
There was an interesting PhD paper came out from, I think it was UniSA, which said that batteries under this scheme can pay for themselves under certain circumstances.
Yeah, I feel guilty because I got too excited. I thought, well, under some circumstances, batteries can pay
You've already
themselves
said that.
for this scheme. Yeah, but I fear that I wasn't too negative. I think I was just too positive, and some people said, "Oh, some situations, surely that means like normal families." No normal families.
So I was interviewed by the advertiser who were reporting on this, and I said, look, be careful. This is saying under very specific circumstances, batteries will pay for themselves, which are circumstances that most people will not have a hope of being in.
Yeah.
But I said, and also be careful that battery salesmen will come out and say, here's proof, batteries pay for themselves, buy my battery. So, and that happened with Sonnen was tweeting about it.
Yes.
They said, look, batteries pay for themselves. A PhD student says so. And
Sonnen has a virtual power plant. They can't pull out information themselves from their own data saying it pays for themselves. They do not need some PhD who's not in the industry to do it for them.
Well, the detail they missed from their tweet was the paper said, I think $400 a kilowatt hour is the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And their batteries, after the rebate, I think are close to $1,000 a kilowatt.
Yes, they're good, but not cheap.
So, limping along the South Australian home battery scheme. Here we go. So we've got a little pixie that we pay 24 hours a day to look at the Tesla Powerwall 2 page in Australia.
Yep.
And they told us on Monday morning that the price of the Powerwall 2 had dropped by $100 and the price of the Gateway had dropped $550.
Yes. Technically, I just lumped them all together because no one is going to buy a Powerwall 2 without the Gateway or vice versa unless your tastes are very odd.
I think you got an exclusive on this. I don't think anyone else reported it.
Oh, wow, yes. Maybe it's because everyone else realized the price cut was only less than a quarter of the price hike they gave it in October.
Yeah, fair enough.
And they didn't think it was worth reporting.
Yes. Shall we move on to a worst review of the week?
Oh, definitely. Yes.
Well, this is a bit grim. This is for a company called New Energy. Initial discussions with staff and contract settling were polite and helpful, but they are just ring-ins and not actual employees. The installer was helpful and seemed to be knowledgeable about the job to be performed. 2 years later, approximately, the system failed. They were virtually impossible to contact by phone for weeks, with only a Telstra message of non-service. Business premise appears to not exist at given address, only made contact when Ombudsman contacted them. After demands for photocopy of contracts, don't they have systems? Don't they know who they're sold to? And much back and forth. about what the inverter read out, which was almost unreadable since day one, apparently. Was informed they no longer supplied AeroSharp, so it was an AeroSharp inverter that's failed. That's not a surprise. And that I could now purchase and have one fitted at my expense, their new model. Well, that's kind of them. The ombudsman, totally who was helpful, as can be, but was then given the runaround, and then basically said they had to go to VCAT, and the poor chap's had no feed. He's realised he's had no feed-in for 5 years. I might add that in a recent storm I discovered that the installer, who previously he was happy with, broke a tile on a terracotta roof, left under the panels, which then leaked through and damaged his ceiling when the mastic repair failed. Yeah, you don't fix a broken tile with mastic.
No.
Fix it with a new tile.
You need a new tile. Worst comes to worst, if you can't match the exact color of tile and you need to replace one, you can put the tiles that don't match under the solar system.
I mean, a reputable installer will refuse to install on terracotta tiles unless you have a minimum number of spare tiles.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, breaking it isn't the issue, it's what you do when you break them. I mean, they break very easily. Should we go into one a bit nicer?
Yes. Definitely.
Here we go. 5-star, 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 5-star.
Oh.
This is a little company in Byron Bay called Denby Energy. They are a SolarQuotes client. The service I reserved from Denby Energy was excellent from the time I rang to make an appointment for Jerry to come and give a quote. After accepting the quote, it was only a matter of a couple of weeks before the installation, and this was done with the least amount of trouble. The tradesmen were first class, and nothing was any trouble. Nothing's any trouble to anyone in Byron Bay, isn't it?
It has a darker side. It's not all hippies and love. I know.
On completion of the installation, I recommended Denby Energy to my daughter, and they were very happy with their quote. I have no hesitation in recommending Denby Energy. Well done, Denby Energy. Shall we see where they sit on the odds ranking scale?
Yeah, let's find out.
Pretty good.
More than above 50%?
99. They're in the top 1% of everyone with
way to go.
At least 5 reviews, because they are. They've only got 5 reviews.
Okay, so take it with a grain of salt. Not statistically valid. It's merely a guide.
Yeah.
But still, a lot better than top 90%.
Yeah, you've got to be happy with that. Yep, get more reviews, and that would become even more useful. I'm sure they will. Here's one that you wrote. S8 Energy Minister Dan Pelican, fellow Dutch heritage man, says 9,300 for a Powerwall 2 is very expensive. Is it?
Okay. With the recent price cut, realistically speaking, you may be able to get one installed for $9,300 or about there, maybe a bit more at the moment. Tesla says they'll install it for, less than that, but that's only if everything at your property is perfect and all ready to go. If they need to do any work on your switchboard, which usually is required, or any extra cabling, yada yada, then that will cost you more. So, no. Even when he said it, it was not very expensive. It was extremely cheap to get one for $9,300 with the South Australian subsidy of $6,000.
Yeah.
And now it's still not very expensive. It's still what you can expect to pay with a $650 price decrease.
I mean, it's interesting that the Energy Minister, who has absolute responsibility for this scheme, doesn't appear to know much about the price of batteries.
No.
But yes, he's still spruiking the scheme. So this was a battery sales seminar that he held.
That's what I said. Maybe instead of calling him Dan Van Holst Pelican, it should be called Dan Van the Battery Salesman.
It's got a ring.
Yeah, it does. And it was called a battery forum. Forum, yes. And so he and a couple other polies were there, but it was like his show, and I told him that batteries won't pay for themselves for normal households, because I'd crunched the numbers. There was no way they're going to pay for themselves. And he did say, they're not for everyone, but he did think they were for normal families. He told me, I can assure you it does work. It absolutely does. And it doesn't work for everyone, but it definitely works. There's no doubt about it.
Oh.
Yeah,
but pretty doesn't leave much wriggle room.
No, it doesn't. So I asked him to send me figures, and No.
Where are they?
Well, he says he couldn't hand out private information because apparently you can't just send me an outline of a family's consumption and battery use without including their names.
There is a house in Adelaide. Its bill was this. It got batteries. Its bill is now this.
Yeah.
Whoa, no. Top secret.
Top secret, yeah. Top secret because they can't do that. So I wrote him a letter. I haven't sent it yet because I wanted you to hear it.
Oh, please.
Just to make sure, there was no I didn't miss any swear words.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. Dear Dan Pelican, I spoke with you on Monday the 15th of July at the Marion RSL. I pointed out home batteries don't pay for themselves for normal families at the moment, even with the South Australian home battery subsidy. You said, I can assure you it does, it absolutely does. It doesn't work for everyone, but it definitely works. There's no doubt about it. Clearly, you have screwed up big time in your calculations. If you send me details on how you determine that batteries can save normal households money, I'll take a look and let you know where you lot messed up. I suspect you're using figures for blended payback, where the good returns from rooftop solar hides the poor or negative returns from batteries. After I've shown you where you've gone wrong, you can correct your mistake and dedicate yourself to making sure no South Australian family buys a battery system that will only lose them money and potentially cause them serious financial harm. Yours sincerely, Ronald Brackles.
Yeah, you should send it.
Okay.
Although, I know he watches this every week.
Oh, so...
As soon as it comes out, so maybe you don't even have to send it, but you should anyway.
Yeah, he'd probably appreciate a hard copy.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you print that out. Get his secretary print out the internet for him.
Here's another one from you to finish off the Vodcast. So this is a bit counterintuitive, really. So you get an EV.
Yep, an electric vehicle, Tesla, Leaf.
You think I want to do the right thing? I want to charge it from renewable energy.
Yeah, from the sun,
not
solar
from the
power.
dirty grid.
Yep.
Which it's not too bad in South Australia, but in the rest of Australia it's fairly dirty. So what I'll do is I've already got solar because I'm intelligent. I park, during the week. I'm at work during the day. Car's at home when the sun's down. I'll get a battery, store the solar in the battery, and get the solar from the battery in my garage to the battery in the car, and then my car's 100% renewables.
Sounds good. Yeah. Doesn't work that way though, because you always have energy losses when you put energy into a battery. Now, if you're going to use an electric car, that's unavoidable, but you're still going to be a lot better off with an electric car than a petrol, diesel, standard one of those. So, because when you got solar and you send your spare electricity into the grid, it reduces fossil fuel generation. So if you plug in at night and charge your electric car with grid power, you're not making things worse. In fact, overall, it's better for the environment to send your electricity into the grid during the day and charge your electric car from the grid at night.
Yeah.
This can change in the future, but for now, that's the case. Even in places like South Australia, where we've got lots of renewable energy, because our 99% of our spare renewable energy gets sent to Victoria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing about electric cars is, if they have a range of, say, 400k and you drive, 40 k's a day.
Yeah, that's normal. 40 k's for a car.
And you only want to charge it directly from solar, which is your prerogative. You do that at the weekend.
Yeah, that's quite plausible.
Yeah. But don't get hung up on charging directly from solar. Draw your box bigger than just around your house. Draw it around, the whole of the grid. And as long as you're pumping that solar in during the day, at the moment, you're offsetting your, any.
This assumes you've got enough solar to charge your electric car.
Yeah, we're assuming the EV owner bought solar before or at the same time as the electric vehicle, which makes sense because you want to keep, your bill's going to go up if you're filling up a 65 kilowatt hour car battery every week or every few days. So assuming you've got solar, don't stress about the battery. You're going to be spending enough on an electric car.
Well, they're not cheap at the moment, unfortunately.
They'll get there.
Yes, they're getting there, definitely.
And that's the last article for the day. Anything else? Oh, there was a post I wanted to put on there, but I forgot.
Oh, what was it?
Michael wrote that they are building and the numbers are phenomenal. So near Port Pirie, which is a 3-hour drive north of Adelaide, for those that don't know South Australia, they are building a 540 megawatt hour battery.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Huge.
That's 5 times the size of the Tesla Big Battery. And coincidentally, that is almost exactly the equivalent of 40,000 Powerwall 2s.
Yes. Yes.
Which is what the South Australian Home Battery Scheme is trying to install.
Yeah.
Well, not Powerwall 2s, but batteries of around that much capacity. So that's very interesting.
It is, and that's on average, South Australia uses roughly 1 gigawatt of power. So if that's I have no idea of the power output, 500 megawatts. That can supply half, for a limited time, half the state's typical power consumption.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
So it can provide the whole state for half an hour?
Yeah, well, only if it puts out enough power.
If it puts out enough power.
Yeah.
I think the power was actually in the hundreds low hundreds.
Yeah, but we can throw in the Tesla battery, the Hornsdale Reserve, and a few others around the place. It all adds up.
Now, I actually personally think that's, just logic tells you that having, the equivalent of 40,000 Powerwall 2s in one place that you have direct control of, you're going to be able to use that much more efficiently than the distributed ones, because you have complete control over the charge and the discharge.
Yes, there are advantages to the big-scale utility ones, and there are advantages to the small-scale distributed ones.
Yeah.
Because when you've got distributed power, you're paying the retail price for electricity. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
But anyways, just the scale of that thing.
Massive, yeah.
Oh, that blew me away. I didn't see that one coming. But yeah, as more and more solar's installed, there is value deflation because it's all getting generated at similar times, and industry is going to step in and take advantage of this cheap electricity in the middle of the day, and the spikes and the troughs.
They already are.
Yep. So it's happening. Anything else you want to say?
Oh, not for now. Talk about it next week.
I hope everyone can hear us. I hope all these microphones worked, because we haven't got a clue what we're doing without Jono.
If it's all subtitled, it didn't work.
Yes. Until next week.
Adieu.
Cheerio.